There we go. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see it, Jim.
Great. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off here. Um, so kind of open it up with general comments. Please put your name and contact information into the chat so we can keep track of who's online. And if you have questions, we can access it as quickly as possible. All right. So in general, going over the response right now, it looks in general, we'll just say that Louisiana as a whole has kind of dodged a major bullet. It's not to say that other entities and areas are not impacted, but the widespread destruction that could have potentially happened was avoided for the most part. As of right now, the state declaration and transportation waivers remain in effect. Francine made landfall at approximately 4:10 yesterday afternoon in Terrebonne Parish, near on the coast near Dulac. Highest recorded winds were at Eagle Island, which were 105 miles an hour. And at Dulac was the next highest at 96 miles per hour. And then comments from the governor and the team coming out of the UCG is that many of the resiliency projects that have been worked on over the last few years were successful because while there was some damage, the damage to the infrastructure as a whole was not as significant as they have seen in previous storms. And what they're doing and the way they're going about that is comparing apples to apples here. The Public Service Commission said that in two storms that were similar in size and landfall to Louisiana, as Francine, they compared it to Isaac and Gustav, a strong Cat 2 and a strong Cat 1. And Francine kind of was in between those, the low Cat 1. I'm sorry, low Cat 2 when it hit there. And for Gustav, there were approximately 1.8 million customers that were lost power. Isaac was 900,000 plus customers that lost power. And during Francine, at the highest point, which we will go over in a little bit, the highest point, there were 404,000 customers that were without power. So overall, when it comes to that part of the house, that part of the resiliency, those efforts have been successful. So as it stands right now, current evacuations that were in place as of when this was put together, and these could be in flux. And I think I saw Garrett, I think you're online. But this has changed since I put this together. We had Assumption, Cameron, Iberia, Jeff Davis, Lafourche outside the floodgates, Lower St. Martin, Plaquemines Parish, and all of the low-lying areas, both on the east and west bank, and everyone in Terrebonne Parish in Zone 1 were under mandatory evacuation. And let me correct myself here. If there's not an M after that parish, it was a voluntary evacuation. For the ones that have an N behind it, like Cameron and Terrebonne, that should have been a mandatory. Everything in Zone 1 was mandatory for there. And then in towns, you had Bayou Blue, Berwick, Sycamore Point, Eagle Island, Grand Isle was a mandatory, Lafitte was a mandatory, Lafayette Parish, low-lying areas, and Morgan City and Port Fourchon was mandatory. Gary, is there anything I missed on those? Okay. All right. As of right now on safety and security, Louisiana National Guard has over 2,500 61 aircraft and 101 high water vehicles that were available. Louisiana State Police had over 400 troopers on duty, and the state fire marshal for the response had both an urban rescue team and a IMAT that was activated. Right now, there are no pods open. We project that there will be as many as 10 pods open tomorrow. And there's about a 24-hour lag time. So any pods that are requested by noon will be open by noon the next day. There is a 24-hour delay on those. As of right now, there are 0 state-run shelters that are open. There are 17 parish shelters with a total population of 174 and 3 faith-based shelters open, population of 23. And so that right now is 197. Now, there's a projection that as we continue to have families come that evacuated are coming back to their homes that may have sustained damage, that population in shelters will increase, but that's what it is right now. As far as pet stuff, the ASPCA and LSART teams have been activated. Right now, there's no projection to assemble the mass feeding task force at the state level. We're working with the Louisiana BOAG community to make sure that they're getting what they need from the business EOC, and they will be managing all the mass feeding at this time. That may change based on whether or not shelter population increases, but as it stands right now, over the next 24 hours, mass feeding task force is not activated. The governor and I and everybody who's involved in the response here, very glad to report there were no casualties that have been associated with the storm and its effects at this time. There were 2 nursing homes that were reported that were evacuated. Those were in Vermilion Nursing and Luling, a total of 10 patients that were evacuated. There are 5 hospitals that are partially evacuated right now, and the surge ambulance contract has been activated. We are getting reports of potable water systems. I don't think I have that correct. Hold on. There are 2 water systems that are out, and I'll get this area updated. And 6 boil advisories and 50 water systems that are on generator power as of this report. And let me back up 1 second to under health and medical. There are 29 hospitals and 23 nursing homes that are on some type of generator power at this time. On the energy, as I said, the peak was 404,000. They're down to about 352,000. I think it was the last time I saw it. At the Public Service Commission is working at. Right now, they have all of the forces that have come in to help the restoration process, and those represented by 13 states. The emergency fuel contract has been activated, and we're continuing to work with our private sector associations and fuel supply chain to make sure that fuel is available for the general public. On the communications network, their LWIN system is currently at 94.6%. They do have 2 cell on wheels that are available and 2 generator on wheel sets that are available to augment any of the LWIN systems that are out there. There was some significant damage to the commercial carriers, AT&T and Verizon in the area, and they are working very hard to get those systems back up as quickly as possible. The Huey Long will reopen to rail traffic this afternoon. A height, weight, and hour of service waivers will remain in place. The flood protection gates in and around the New Orleans area that affect the transportation network, the majority of those have been already open or will open by close of business today. So those impediments to the transportation network will be removed. Port Nola is back in operational status, and the Calcasieu Ship Channel has reopened. The only port that I am tracking right now that is in any other than open status is Port Fourchon. The Louisiana DEQ is advising parishes on debris collection locations and the permitting thereof, so that they do not run into any problems with permitting as we continue into the recovery process. As it stands right now, the next advisory that we will do will be on the 13th. That's a typo, at 3 p.m. We will be producing our business surveys to find out what impediments businesses are facing as they attempt to reopen. We understand that there's out there, and if you look at the track for those people who maybe here or at the national level, this track was very similar or in close proximity. Let me say it that way. Was in close proximity to Ida's track and landfall. So many of the businesses and communities that were affected during Ida now face the obstacle of rebuilding and recovering from Francine. So more to follow on that. We will be attempting to find out what challenges there are out there so that we can bring whatever resources that are needed to bear to get those companies back up and running. Okay. So as we go around the horn now, let's see. Are there any questions from the safety and security lifeline? Any businesses or community members that are there that have any questions? Oh, hold on. Let me stop that right there. Garrett, are you able to unmute now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to bring up that I missed?
No, sir. You're covering it very well.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it, bud. Thank you very much. So we'll go to the safety and security lifeline. Is there anything there that I'm missing? That you have any questions?
No,
All right, food, water, and shelter. Anything? Any questions? Health and medical? All right, I didn't notice it. All right, I'll just open the floor to anyone else that's out there that may have any questions or concerns that need to be brought up to the state level. I'm looking at the report here. I noticed Leah Anderson, the private sector liaison from the FEMA Region 6. You have anything you would like to add?
No, not really. Just, letting everybody know that you and I are staying in touch every day. We're just kind of working to make sure we're maintaining and sharing any situational awareness about any emerging issues related to the private sector so we can kind of tackle those and help stabilize the lifelines. That also we're kind of working through to address any requests from the private sectors and share with each other any offers of support we get from them. And I'm trying to make sure you have the most up-to-date information, particularly FEMA related, so that you can pass that on to those in your network.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I didn't notice if Texas or Mississippi logged in. I don't think so. All right. Are there any other questions or concerns that we can address here in this forum? All right, hearing none, then I will give you some time back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time here. We will host another one again tomorrow. And then we will start making any decisions that we need to make about future coordination calls. I suspect that we will continue on for the next few days to make sure that the private sector has the information that they need to help facilitate the response for the citizens and each other. As you're out there working, thank you very much. Please stay safe. LABEOC out.